What's up, fam? We're back. Apologize for technical difficulties, but we're going to pick up right where we left off. We were going to get into our poll question, and that poll question is brought to you by Bodycheck Wellness. Use promo code A2D for 25% off. Not 20, 25. We're trying to hook you up. They got CBD oil, wellness products, gummies, topicals. They have a bunch of stuff. So use promo code A2D for 25% off. And the poll question for tonight, Jalen Hurts will prove that he is the Eagles franchise quarterback on Sunday. Agree or disagree? Take it away, Pete.
No, because I understand the question and I see the validness in it. I just think I just think it's foolish to be like, oh, if he doesn't win this week, it's over. Start looking at Spencer Rattler highlight film. Come on, you know what I mean? But it isn't like I know this is what's going to be people's mindset. You know what I mean? If he has a subpar game, everyone's going to lose their shit and be like, oh man, trying to look at draft film. Where it's just if he has a competent game and he plays well, I'm cool with it. So I don't think it's make or break time for him. This is going to be a whole year's worth of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's going to be interesting, especially coming off the game that he just had, obviously in week 1, where he threw for 3 touchdowns and looked phenomenal. Obviously, there's a couple issues that I had right with his start. There were things where he got out of the pocket a little too quickly. Sometimes he didn't really step up in the pocket sometimes. But again, for the most part, he looked good. But with this season with Jalen Hurts, even it's still a second year. That's what people have to remember. It's still a second year. He's still developing.
5 starts. This is his 5th start.
Yeah, and this is only his.
This is 6th start.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just look at it right now. It's too early, so I'm going to disagree with the poll first and foremost. But I mean, if he looks good, and right now with how the injury reports and everything like that are looking for the 49ers, aside from their defensive line, their secondary is looking like a problem, and not in a good way. Not in a good way at all. Obviously, you have Jason Verrett, who's out for the year, and it looks like Emmanuel Mosley is doubtful to play as well with a knee. So
yep, they're a mess.
And then they lost, what's his name? Their starting linebacker who had the pick 6 against the Lions. What is his name?
I don't know. I don't watch.
But anyway, one of their starting linebackers they also don't have. So, I mean, the ingredients are there for Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and this wide receiving core to have a good day along with Jalen Hurts. So, we'll see. It just depends on how our offensive line is going to respond to their defensive line. And I think as long as they play how they did last Sunday, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah,
and right. James says, okay, they're all saying Dre Greenlaw. Thank you. Yeah, Dre Greenlaw. So that's a loss. I mean, he's not like a high productive guy, but he's a great great coverage linebacker. So we'll see.
This is one of those games to where I'm going to be very keen on Sirianni, because if this is a Doug game, he's not going to change his offense no matter what. He's going to do the same bullshit he would always do.
Right.
With Sirianni, with this many corners down and this many guys who can stretch the field, you know what I mean? I'd be putting them all out there. I activate John. If this were me, I'm activating John Hightower.
You're doing it that way.
Because, well, not even that. I have so many guys who can stretch the field. I'm making deep plays for Jalen Reagor and Devonta Smith, John Hightower. I'm bringing him on the roster. Not to mention Quez Watkins. These are all guys who can. Jalen Hurts was one of the best deep ball throwers in football last year. This is the perfect game to get him in the gunslinger mode. I'm not saying he has to do it every game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. But that's not. I don't think that's his game either. As far as a gunslinger goes, I get where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. And one thing I do want to touch on is how good our young wide receivers looked last week.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed. And even
chef's kiss.
What'd you say?
I said Reagor, chef's kiss.
Yeah, right at the end.
Well, you set up a play to help your young wide receiver get into a groove, and it happened. You know what my favorite play of week 1 was? And it's not even the amazing throw from not Rager, from Hurts to Smith in the end zone. It's the fact that the first play of the game is a bubble screen on the left-hand side for 11. Was it 11?
Something like that.
And then Sirianni calls the exact same play on the opposite side of the field and went for 13 yards. Doug would never do that.
No. And it, like, at least to me, after watching that game, right, it kind of had like a college kind of feel as far as like the play calling and some of the plays on the field. Felt like a very big, like, kind of college vibe as far as I saw it anyway. But Jalen Rager, I hope that touchdown last week is just a sign of things to come. I really hope so.
I truly think so. I think he's in the right headspace, man.
I mean, he's been preaching at all these press conferences. Yep. He said he's a different guy, whatever that means. He's in a good mind space right now, and he's confident, obviously, and it shows. He's confident. I mean, he had how many catches did he have last week? Like
he had 5. I think he had 5 catches for 52 yards.
Okay,
and a touchdown.
Gotcha.
But not to take away from the offense, but I don't think we're really giving Jonathan Gannon his props. Like, I'm sorry, we held Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley to under 40 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. We are the only team in the NFL to not give up a 20-yard play.
Right.
Are you serious? We held the Atlanta Falcons. Look, the Falcons are whatever, but that's an explosive offensive team, and we kept them at. They only scored 6 points.
Right. Yeah, and the big thing is with that is. You heard our defensive coordinator in his press conference. He made adjustments at halftime. When was the last time our defensive coordinator, not named Jim Schwartz, made adjustments at halftime?
Jim Schwartz never made adjustments at halftime.
That's what I'm saying. If it was Jim Schwartz, he would have been like, "No, we're sticking with the game plan. We're not changing it." Because at the beginning of the game, you saw 3-4 packages.
You ever just wake up in the middle of the night and sweat and just be like, "Oh God, oh my God, Jim Schwartz isn't here anymore."
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to toot my own horn other than the fact that I fucking love doing it. But didn't someone say defensive player of the game, Javon Hargraves? I'm just saying.
Yeah, and he had he was having a good year at the end of last season, and now it seems he's continuing that momentum with 2 sacks. So, and with the money that he's getting paid, he's playing right next to Fletcher Cox too, so that also helps.
Yep.
But we'll talk more Eagles as the show goes on. But right now we have a special guest in the back end. I'd like to welcome special guest Jeff L.J. Lloyd from Locked On Browns. Jeff, how we doing?
How are we, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
What's up, Jeff?
Good. Eagles are 1-0. I mean, the Browns aren't. They're 0-1, but I mean, they came off for a promising loss, however you want to look at it that way. But
that was the thing. Like this week, everybody got like up in arms, and it was like, yes, the Browns may have lost that game. They probably had a win they should have walked away from. But you can't find anybody who predicted the Browns were going to win anyway. So it's like, well, how can you have it both ways now, guys?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And I was telling a couple of my buddies earlier after the game on Sunday was, I mean, you take away, I mean, to be fair, the Baker interception, he was going to throw it out of bounds, got tripped up. It happens, right? But the muff punt and the Nick Chubb fumble, you take those away. You take those 2 things away. I think the Browns come away winning week 1.
Yep.
And as far as if I was a Browns fan, at least in my perspective, I feel good. Obviously, you want to win at the end of the day, but Jeff, what is the feeling in Brownstown right now? What is their feeling after the week 1 loss? Are they confident? Do they feel good even though it was a loss? Like that they kept up with like one of the top teams in the NFL? What's the feeling over in Cleveland?
It varies, obviously. And this team, once now, after all these years, they're finally feeling some success. It's really difficult to see something like this, especially when they had a game and it didn't end up the way it should have, right, based on the first 45 minutes of the game. But they were, and for me, and one thing we try to preach to the show, and a lot of the guys that I do content with that they join me on the show, was Week 1 didn't matter against Kansas City Chiefs. It's all about week 21. Week 21 is AFC, NFC Championship weekend.
Yep.
So, but if you beat the Chiefs here in week 1, guess what? Now they may be gunning for you. But they also didn't have their full display. You didn't have Odell Beckham Jr. You're still working through, some things on this defense. This defense is brand new. They said 6 new starters on Sunday. It's legitimately more like 8 new starters on this defense. And it just takes so much time to work all this out. I think the Browns will be a better team, as the season goes. And it's not about the offense. I think the offense is right where it needs to be. But it's more about this defense growing, developing, understanding each other, building a rapport, and just that unwritten language that needs to be done on the defensive side of the ball, where I know you're going to be here, so I'll cheat a little bit this way. It'll take a little time, but it's going to come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, the offense looks good. The defense obviously had a couple hiccups in the second half, obviously, but I think it was a good measuring stick for you guys. Obviously, you want to see where you're at, and like you touched on earlier, if you beat the Chiefs, you have a target on your back immediately going into week 2 and the remainder of the season. But your expectations, at least in my opinion, for the Browns, I think it's an AFC Championship game or bust. That's just my opinion to how far this team can go.
If everything develops on the defensive side of the ball like it should, Grant Delpit's finally going to make his NFL debut Sunday. They'll get Ronnie Harrison back. Ronnie Harrison's had a really, really strong summer. And however that unfolded on Sunday, unfortunate, certainly for the Browns, but, you can't just get yourselves into those situations. But a player they have a ton of hopes for. Anthony Walker went on IR this week, their middle linebacker. He'll be out, 3 weeks minimum. But the point is the Browns want to play nickel and dime anyway. They want to play a lot of defensive backs. So that it flows more as far as scheming when you say, look, we want to have 6, maybe 7 defensive backs on the field. We'll put a safety up at the linebacker position because it's just cover and hope the D-line and the pass rush wins. There's no way around it. There's no underneath coverage because you're going to put, tight ends, backs leaking out. There's defensive backs on these guys. They're more athletic. They should be there. You're not worried about busted plays or guys being wide open. So it's going to come down to, quarterback having to hurry. And what we did see, which is a huge takeaway, which stuns me that not a lot of people are coming away with from the Browns game on Sunday, is this defensive line, that was their debut. They have never taken a live snap together. Malik Jackson, Malik McDowell, Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett. They had never had a preseason snap together. And you just saw what they are capable of doing. You do that, you just find guys who can cover guys in the space, whatever. I got him between him and the hash, 3 yard, 5 yard, or I got the guy deep with help over the knee. It's going to be so much easier if this pass rush can do what they do, and the Browns can finally get to what Joe Woods has been preaching since he's been defensive coordinator of the Browns is, I want to play a lot of nickel. I want to play a lot of dime. He finally has the personnel. Even with the Browns, a couple injuries they've had, losing linebackers isn't the worst thing in the world because it finally gets Joe Woods in the situation where he can just play all these defensive backs like he's been preaching and saying he wants to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what people have to understand, too, this Browns team is a young team, too. Young quarterback, only a second-year head coach in Kevin Stefanski, who's done a fantastic job, in my opinion. And the Browns are going to be good for a long time. But my question to you, Jeff, is talking about Odell Beckham earlier. What's the plan with Odell? Are they kind of taking their time with Odell, obviously coming off an ACL injury last year? How's his rehab going?
If you look at it this way, Saquon Barkley played last night. Cortland Sutton from the Denver Broncos. Those guys are 5 weeks further ahead from where Odell Beckham Jr. is right now.
Okay.
I think what the Browns are thinking is look, Odell gets dinged a lot. I mean, the ACL, and he obviously had the broken lower leg when he was with the Giants. Major injuries, but there's injuries also, whether it's, thighs, hamstrings, these things where, most of the time I'll play through it. The Browns need him to be an X factor. They don't need him right now to be an X factor. So if he's not all the way ready to go, and I'll be honest, nobody saw Anthony Schwartz's debut coming Sunday. And it was kind of weird. I love Anthony Schwartz. One guy
might have.
No, I love Anthony Schwartz to death, but there was nothing to go on. Like, he barely participated in the summer. I pegged him as being this Browns selection exactly where they picked it. I mean, I had it months beforehand, but it was like,
Phillips the year before.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But he was like, he didn't do much in the summer. Like, so it was like, and all of a sudden he was out there and it was like, all right, well, here goes nothing. And that was maybe the best thing about it is because the Chiefs were like, well, we don't know nothing about the kid. We got zero, we just know he's fast like our guys. But that makes a difference. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be a little bit bigger role this week, or at least trying to get him some more targets because he's put in a really good summer. He's put in a lot of work, and he does the dirty work. He blocks. And then you still have the tight ends. You have the running backs. Where it's progressing on the offensive side of the ball, you have to be really, really thrilled with. It's just going to be about the growth of the defense and how everybody can just find their way. But this may be a good situation because the scales are being tipped where Joe Woods has no other choice. Look, nobody wants Mack Wilson on the field. You can get two more. You can get Grant Delpit and Ronnie Harrison on the field. Guess what? Mack Wilson's not going to be on the field. And it's not a not great kid. He tries hard. He's done everything he could. He just hasn't progressed. So guess what? He's 6'3", 225. You got two safeties coming back this week who are pretty much 6'2", 6'3", 220, 225, but they're faster, they're quicker, and they're smarter.
Yeah. Jeff, here's a question. The throw that Baker makes to Schwartz, where he drops it when he hits the ground, would you, if you're in that situation, would you have had Peoples-Jones run that route instead?
No, the problem there was I think Baker threw it no problem, and I think Anthony Schwartz as a rookie said, "Holy crap, I'm this wide open in the NFL." That was like, you're welcome, and this is what 4.2 speed does. And I just think he was a little nervous. And for Baker, look, I mean, everybody wants to talk about Baker and his statistical output. Look what he did in college. He lit it up. They just don't have to do it. Yeah, they could throw for 400 yards every week if they wanted to. But what are you telling Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? Oh, just make sure you block. I mean, it's just they have a great balance. It's a great thing. I think Schwartz, there was the rookie, jitters or whatever, and obviously 3-4 times. I think the most impressive thing with that catch from Schwartz, and you saw it last night with Darius Slate for the Giants, is playing that tip, understanding everything's not always going to be perfect. And that was his first big impact in the NFL. Tip it, 3 times? Found a way to hold it, tug it, get it in. Anthony Schwartz is going to be all right. And I would be surprised if he gets an easy one Sunday because teams are going to sleep on him still. Even what he did last week, they're still going to sleep on him a little bit. You can't sleep on 4.2. You just can't.
No, you definitely can't sleep on 4.2 speed.
You guys, I mean, Deshaun Jackson, you know how it works.
Yeah,
those guys are just absolute. I mean, those are the guys that shoot from 40 feet, and with the hey, I want 4, maybe 3.
Right, exactly. My last question for you, and then I'll switch you over to Pete. Obviously, last year you guys drafted Grant Delpit in the second round. Obviously, in training camp last year, he went down with a huge knee injury. How excited is the fan base that Grant Delpit is coming back? And obviously, me being an LSU fan, I know what he brings to the table. But with his leadership, how big of an addition is that to this Browns defense?
Well, this is another one where the Browns tried to get really, really, savvy on the defensive side of the ball this year. You signed Anthony Walker, extremely intelligent player, knows the game, knows how it works. John Johnson III was just, a coup de grace of a get because, again, another guy who is not as athletic as he is smart. He knows the game. He knows how it works. Grant Delpit was this guy at LSU. Everybody loved him because he was pretty much the combo of both. There was that weird 3-week span where his ankle wasn't right, and he could easily said as a high draft prospect, you know what? I'm tapping out. If I'm ready to go, I'll be back. Otherwise, I might call it a year. But he went back and played well. And people were like, it was weird for us to think that because it was like, can you get Grant Delpit? Sure, but I mean, you looked at where the Browns were drafted, the way everything was working, and for us, it was like, well, is Grant Delpit not going to go in the first round? Nobody thought that was not going to happen. They figured he would still find his way in, and then it was like, well, trade back, and you still got Grant Delpit, and you put him with John Johnson III and Ronnie Harrison. I'm excited. I love just the overall perfectness of Grant Delpit in that it's intelligent, it was athletic. It was not, nervous to be physical, good in space. I go back to that bowl game against Lamar Jackson. It was still Louisville. And he just kind of was just like, well, whatever. You won a Heisman. Congratulations. We ruined your day. You're not running away from me. This is LSU. This is the SEC now. Yeah. I just can't wait because even if he's not nearly 100%, which I know he's not, And that's been part of the problem this summer is just trying to, how do I work through it? How can I be the best version of myself, but maybe at 85, 90%? And he's working through that. And the thing is, he's an intelligent enough player. He's talented enough. He's going to find a way to work through this first year back, knowing he's a little limited athletically. Yeah,
absolutely. And I remember when Ed Ogeron at LSU, he was saying when Grant Delpit would play, even like going through that ankle issue, he's like, I tell him all the time, he's like, you can calm down a little bit, but Grant's 110% effort guy all the time. And that's exactly what you're going to get on this defense.
That was always the thing that got really confusing with him is like people like sometimes like get down on a little bit of the tape and it's like, well, do you see like the overall football intelligence? Like he's seeing things, a stride, a step before everybody else on the field. That was, the thing where, it was just a coup for Browns fans to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys get a steal there, and I have to bring this up. You guys get a steal with Joker also. I don't know how he fell that far. That still baffles me.
We were doing a live broadcast of that, Jeff, and when it got announced that we got Joker, all the guys were just like, they were pissed as shit. They were like, here you go. There's Pete looking all happy and shit in the corner. I lost it. Jeff, how many times do we have discussions about this? Because everyone's like, oh, we got to go linebacker when everyone knows you need it in the corner. And I'm like, you have to take a linebacker. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm taking the linebacker. And then they get the guy everyone loves in the second round.
100%. It's funny how it works out. I just love the smoothness of this. Because, like Andrew Barry and these guys, and obviously they get the reputation of being the nerds, whatever. But you want to know what, everybody doesn't talk about the fact that they were actually football guys. So, they can watch film, they're smart as shit, and, they know how to make things happen. And, they're, getting Curtis Weaver from the Dolphins last year. I mean, granted, he's on the practice squad, but that was just well, if you're going to give up your 5th-round pick, no, we're going to call you on it. We're going to take your 5th-round pick. We'll give you the kid for a year. We'll see what happens. So it's they're very, very intelligent about how they do things, but everybody thinks it's there's not enough football going on there. But whether it's Stefanski, whether it's Barry, I mean, these guys, they played the game, they know what's going on, and it seems like as much as they are intelligent within how to run a franchise, it seems like they're getting better and better. And this is only year 2 with their evaluation of players.
Yeah, Jeff, can you put the bed, because people are already talking about it. They're thinking that the reason that they're not having Odell play this week is they're saving him to be traded. Can you put that to bed for us?
No, it's about look, it's about the fact that you want Odell Beckham Jr. is going to mean so much more in January than he's certainly going to mean in September. And look, the Chiefs game was tough, and here's the thing: should have won it anyway without Odell. They should have won it anyway. We all know. Everybody saw it. And 20 million people, as we all saw the tweets this week, 20 million people saw it. But it's more about having him and having him being some sort of just something else that somebody's got a game plan for. And no, I mean, but here's the thing. If you look at this and you truly do this like guys like you do, like I do, and so many million others, what are you getting for Odell Beckham Jr. right now?
Right.
Nobody's seen him play since the ACL injury. It's not like he just put up 10 receptions for 115 in week 1. Nobody knows what's there. Nobody knows what's there. There's no value to it. So what are you going to do it for a next year, maybe day 3, conditional, be day 2? Why? And the Browns are not carrying any wide receivers anyway. They're not carrying a minimal amount of wide receivers. That tells you, obviously, that this is going to be a staying thing for this year, at least.
So speaking of former Browns, we got a guy in Gerard Avery. I'm a big fan of his. I really liked what I saw out of him in Cleveland. Can you tell some of the Eagles fans who don't really know a lot about the guy, what type of player he is?
Gerard Avery, it's funny because it was a shocking thing. His first year here was fantastic, contributed in preseason, and everybody, let's go. It was a weird when it went to the Freddie Kitchens era. And the way the defense was run there just didn't work out. But this was a guy who coming into the draft was a guy with a linebacker reputation who tested really well, measured really well. He was athletic. His tape was there. He had good size. I think the thing is Gerard Avery is getting matched up with teams that are trying to maybe pigeonhole players into certain positions, Whereas Jannard Avery is a little bit more modern day, although his size-wise, I mean, maybe a little heavy for what you want, but he's one of these guys that you can do a million things with. He can rush the passer. He's not great in man coverage, but he can play zone coverage, physical tackler. He's a little bit of he's a hybrid, and it's tough to find that if you're not an established team, if you're not a Bill Belichick kind of team. It's tough to find exactly what the role is for the edge linebacker, zone coverage linebacker type that Jannard Avery is. But it's not uncommon for players like him, in this age of the NFL. But it's been a tough spot for him. I think he should be more successful than he's been. But granted, it also requires that he gets the opportunity to do so.
Why do you think his second year? Why do you think he wasn't getting the playing time and things like that?
Well, Olivier Vernon was brought in. So obviously right off the bat, there were the opportunities. You had Myles Garrett. You had Olivier Vernon. What was the third, fourth, fifth edge guy going to get? Not much. And at that point, within the organization, they viewed in that maybe his best asset was being a pass rusher. And it just kind of sort of went downhill from there. There's nothing wrong he did. Not at all. It was just, he got into a tough position and just, didn't work out. But, I mean, and the other thing is him being in Philadelphia, and now might be the best thing because I don't know, if he'd be part of this Cleveland roster anymore, or maybe at best a practice squad guy where there's several other guys that were kind of on the same path as him.
Transitioning a little bit, like speaking of Oklahoma quarterbacks, we got Jalen Hurts here, QB1 right now. Long list of good Oklahoma quarterbacks. 3 of them are starters right now, amazingly. Like, from what you've seen from Jalen Hurts as a starter, like what do you think?
I think it's tough because maybe they don't have everything in place just yet. Obviously, you're graduating towards that, and Devonta Smith, all these type of things. So it's just going to take a little time. And, there's times where I think maybe he's a little gun shy, and it's difficult when what your legs can do for you, because sometimes it's like, well, if I can pick up 6 yards or I'm risking, an incompletion or things of that nature, it's tough. But I think the makeup, and, I speak with it, I talk with his agent a lot, Nicole Lynch, fantastic woman.
Yes,
I think Jalen's just in a, it seems like he's in a tough position where it's, do you absolutely trust me to be a quarterback, or are we doing these type of things? And like sometimes, and look, he's not where Lamar Jackson is, and no offense to Jalen Hurts, but it's, what is the path? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to make him a quarterback who throws really well and has really great legs? Or are we still trying to incorporate the fact that he runs well? We think he throws pretty well. We're trying to figure out the skill position group to have around him, which has always been the issue with Lamar Jackson down in Baltimore. They still are not sure what the recipe is. That's the toughest thing when you have these guys who are so uniquely athletically diverse. Mm-hmm. And the problem is a lot of times you have these coaches who are older than me, and I'm 47 years old. They don't know what to do with them.
Right.
So it's like, if you're not going to go young with your staff, you probably should not be entertaining quarterbacks of the ilk of Lamar Jackson, the quarterbacks of the ilk of Jalen Hurts, because if you're taking those guys in, you want the best of both worlds, and it just doesn't always work out that way.
Speaking of Lamar, like we actually had his offensive coordinator from his rookie year there last year, and I actually thought like we were going to get more of that style of play out of Jalen Hurts. Moving forward, do you think that's like, I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson, because I'm still not 100% sold on Jalen. I like what I've seen so far. But do you think that could be the type of guy where he could be, to where he stretches the field with his legs? He gets everyone worried about him running, and then he's throwing it deep like Lamar did when he was winning MVP.
I think you're looking at him similar to what the Browns are doing right now with Baker Mayfield is. And look, Jalen can run, Baker can't. But try to develop a whole unit on offense where you have a good offensive line. So when you want to run the ball and you can win games running the ball, go ahead and do it. Or have, couple of tight ends, a couple of wide receivers, everybody on the same page. Give him a mixed bag. Use him in that respect. Because my biggest issue with Lamar Jackson is When is this going to go wrong? Like, that's what you're worried about because he's so electric. Granted, his speed is not what most quarterbacks in the league have. But it's great that he can run for 75 yards every game. But if he's my franchise and if something happens to him and our season is over right here, right now, are you doing yourself the best service? Because, to think that he's going to just be able to continue to do this and something wrong, and I hate to do this, something goes wrong hit-wise, injury-wise, slips like, Jedrick Wills did in Kansas City on Sunday.
Yep.
That's the Ravens season. That's it. Mm-hmm. We're done. We're over. And then the other thing is how much can he come back from it?
Yep.
Look, understand. Let the quarterbacks create with their legs when they need to. Don't rely on them as a running game. Look, how many million running backs are there in the NFL? Look at fantasy rosters. Everybody's got 6 running backs. You can find guys to carry the ball to get you 3, maybe even 4 yards a pop.
Yep.
Use that stuff when you truly need it, not just to be the base of your offense, because it's a limited thing. It's a limited thing.
Moving on to coaches, like I really like the creativity I saw out of Nick Sirianni. Granted, it's not the same type of creativity like Kevin Stefanski. Like Stefanski is arguably one of my favorite coaches in the NFL because of his ability to scheme for his players, to put them in the best situation. Do you think the Eagles could have a guy like Kevin Stefanski in Nick Sirianni who's not going to pigeonhole his players into roles that don't fit them like Kevin does?
Well, all this stuff takes time. And this is the weirdest thing is, NFC East, it doesn't matter who you are. You are in this. You are totally in this. Yep. So this is more about winning 9 games, maybe 10. Look, everybody loves Dak Prescott, but what the hell else did anybody see from the Dallas Cowboys? Nothing. Yep. The Giants, I just have to laugh. They really think they're getting better, and they're just not getting any better. There's just no way it's going to work. I like the Eagles' opportunity. I like what they putting together. They put together solid ball players. But yes, it's going to, it's going to take a little time. But there's tight ends in place. You have Devontae Smith, which was it's crazy because you love the player in Devontae Smith. You're like, It's kind of like Allen Robinson. You're crossing your fingers like, is this going to be, are we really going to get him?
Right.
Because do we have this in here yet? Do we have the coach, the passing game, the passing system, the quarterback?
Yep.
And it makes you a little nervous. But, the NFC East is the ultimate wild card. You just have to play. You don't have to play great. You have to play good, I think, to win the NFC East.
Pretty much.
But I think give me a month. Give me 2 weeks and see how this works out, where there's a little bit more talent now around Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Could be a little, could be a positive sign.
Do you think there's a player in Philadelphia that people are maybe sleeping on, like that they're not given the type of love, like for me with the Browns, I don't think people are giving Donovan Peoples-Jones the love he deserves, because this year I think he's going to ball the hell out.
I think Miles Sanders is extremely underrated, and I think he gets a little bit of bad rap due to the injury history. You look at these combination backs, and look, we're not comparing him to Alvin Kamara, but right. the guys who have this type of ability where they can kill you for 100 either way, or some days on a really good day, both. Miles Sanders has that type of ability, and I think because things got murky with Wentz and everything else that was going on, and where is the future, Miles Sanders is a really, really good back. And to be, just one of these guys that can truly be a weapon. You can do everything that's asked of you, and the only time you come off of the field is because you need to catch your breath. Miles Sanders, for me, is an extremely, extremely underrated running back in the NFL today.
Okay. I know there's one guy here who would love to hear you say that. Yeah, we have a guy over at Agree to Disagree, Chucks. He's the biggest biggest Miles Sanders fan in the world.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you think Eagles could kind of have a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt type of situation going on with Miles Sanders and Jake? Why am I blanking? Kenny Gainwell. Yeah, that's it.
Are you comparing any running back in the NFL to Nick Chubb? Come on now.
I was going to say.
Well, no, I mean that that nice 1-2 punch type of situation going on.
No, I totally get what you're saying. What you want is you want guys that can do both. And look, Nick Chubb is not a great receiver, but he can do the simple things. He runs his flat routes, he runs his screen routes. And who are we kidding? If Nick's on the field, you want to give him the ball. Otherwise, go grab a Gatorade, get a couple steps, and we'll get you back on the field. We're actually going to give you the ball. It takes a while. It does. It just takes a while. And the thing is the biggest problem with trying to establish, and I hate to do this, but knock on wood, for where the Browns are at right now is look at the rollover at the running back position. Again, Baltimore Ravens. Like everybody was like, oh, this is a great story. Yeah, he's their 5th running back. That's the story. It doesn't matter where he came from, all of this stuff. And God bless the kid. He got his opportunity. He balled out. But it was like, he's their 5th running back. Like 5th. It was week freaking 1. And the biggest thing to developing a running back room is getting lucky. And, as long as Kareem has been here, and it was, first half of 19, and then all of last year, week 1 this year, it's rare that and Nick Chubb obviously missed this time, but it's rare that any NFL team can say, all right, well, here's the same running backs week in, week out, like the Browns are able to do right now. It's, again, just fingers freaking crossed, because it doesn't seem something it's just not something you expect and not something you're used to.
Yep.
That great advantageous, obviously a huge advantageous situation for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, my final question for you, because we're coming right up against it, and I know you got to get out of here. My question is for Baker Mayfield. Obviously, when people look at the stat sheet and whatever, and that didn't watch the game, they'll be like, oh, Baker had a terrible game. But he managed the game well, and now that he's coming into his 4th year in the league, his rookie contract's almost up. So has there been any discussion on a potential Baker Mayfield extension coming up, or are they kind of still sitting and waiting on the Baker?
I don't think there's an issue there. I think everybody is kind of on the same page. But look, you have to keep in mind, and this is what we've tried to say through the show, is Baker Mayfield went to Texas Tech as a walk-on.
Yep. Didn't
work out, had to leave, went to Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield has zero problem betting on himself. Mm-hmm. And betting on himself this year also means he's betting on what this team does. Right. He's not going to be ever, and I know people get caught up, and this is where fantasy sucks sometimes when you're just trying to talk football. It's because he's not going to get brought up anywhere near Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and go on and go on. But in the same respect, though, you say, hey, would those guys, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, like a backfield of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
Yeah.
Overall success of this franchise, Baker understands, equates hugely into what could be his future extension. And it's tough for him because he does not put up the numbers of a Patrick Mahomes, who, and that deal maybe, I think that deal probably crippled a lot of teams where everybody was just like, okay, well, that's great. Yes, we agree he's elite, but where do we pay the good quarterbacks now? Like, that was the biggest thing. It was like, yes, he's the superstar, but if you pay him $500 million, that means the guy who's pretty good is looking for $350. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What did you just do here? And it's a really, really, it's tough. It's going to get worked out. Baker's not going anywhere.
No, I don't anticipate that.
Not whatsoever. He's in love with this city. He's in love with this franchise, and he's in love with the money he makes off the field. And I think the thing is, it's going to be where Baker's going to sit down, and I think it's like the understanding of, I'm going to be here. Okay, but where are we with the rest of these guys? Odell, Jarvis, Wyatt Teller, who needs a contract extension, David Njoku, Austin Hooper, who could be relieved of the contract that he's currently not earning. I think it's more about, let's sit down and just break down everything, and he's in, he's out. This is my money. All right, let's roll.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Jeff, first things first, obviously we really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to talk with us. Let the fam know where they can find you, social media and all that.
Well, I do host the Locked On Browns podcast, daily, 5 episodes per week minimum. We usually break that rule. Pre-game, post-game, all the stuff in between. So you can check that out. Free on all social media platforms. Go ahead, check it out. Ratings, reviews, all that good stuff. We're going to break into YouTube here shortly enough here within the next week or so as we climb another mountain and be reaching out for help. So be ready, fellas. And, of course, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, show itself at Locked On Browns. Everybody, summer's ending. Everybody gets excited for pumpkin for the fall. Screw that. Let's go. It's football season. Let's go.
Exactly. Let's go.
Jeff, I think you're 2 minutes. I think you're 2 seconds away from a Built Bar commercial. I'm feeling it, man.
Nice. Do you know that they have 9 delicious flavors plus the occasional limited time flavor?
I only hear that every morning as I'm driving to work, listening to you on Locked On Browns.
It's funny because we have, obviously, thankful for all the sponsors we have, but Built Bar, they've been with us for ever. And I don't know if you guys saw this, and you can probably check it out. Everybody now with college football, you can endorse the athletes. They went into BYU and said, Coach, how many non-scholarship players do you have? They said 36. They wrote the check, took care of those 36 student athletes, and said, you know what? Your tuition's paid for. You now work for Built Bar. You are now brand ambassadors. Take care of us. We just took care of you. It was a really, really cool thing.
Wow.
Because when this first all started, we were they were kind of like, who the hell's Locked On? And we were kind of like, who the hell's Built Bar? But almost 3 years later now, packages show up every 6 to 8 weeks. Plenty of them. I don't have the time for all these protein bars, but luckily my girls are teenagers. We have plenty of ways to find a giveaway to Built Bar. So maybe we'll give them away at Halloween this year.
There you go.
Again, Jeff, we really appreciate the time, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, no problem at all, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, buddy.
That was Jeff Lloyd from Locked On Browns. Great conversation. Check out his podcast, Locked On Browns. If you want to get all
every morning on my way to work, man.
Get all your Browns information. But let's get back into it. Before we get back onto that, our clean, smooth interview was brought to you by Manscaped. Get 20% off free shipping with the promo code A2D at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always have the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Promo code again is A2D for 20% off. So let's get into it. Pete. Week 2, Philadelphia Eagles open up the link full capacity for the first time in over 2 years now?
Yep.
So yeah, so
I was actually at the last home game, week 16, 2019, season on the line, and the Cowboys choke.
Yep.
Which was also my first ever Eagles game.
There you go.
Ironically, I went to 2 games that year. I went to the Browns versus the Jets for my first ever football game at the most disgusting stadium in the world. Literally garbage everywhere, flies batting my face the whole time.
Yep.
And Odell goes off. And then my second game happens to be might as well be a goddamn playoff game, week 16 against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Not bad, you're right. And I'm happy I ended up going those 2 games because you know what? I didn't go to shit. There was nothing to go to last year.
Yeah, no, that's true. Let's get into the comments real quick before we move on. Bill Millbrook says, I watched a lot of film and rewatch games, and we have a big problem with Hurts. Teams will start forcing him to scramble. Excuse me. We'll force him to scramble to his left, and he'll become one-dimensional. He's never thrown scrambling left. I mean, again, Bill, I get where you're coming from, Bill. But again, this is all about development, and especially with this game, now that we actually have film, or now that other teams, I should say, have film on Nick Sirianni's offense, you're going to start to see different schemes and different matchups. So we have to see how Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni adjust to that. And I think they'll be fine, especially like I was touching on earlier. First home game back at the Lincoln Financial Field. The fans are going to be insane. It's going to be so loud there. I can't even begin to tell you how loud it's going to be there. And I think we're built for a huge win. Now, when I say huge win, right, I don't mean like a huge blowout like last week of the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's going to be close because that defensive line is a problem for the 49ers. The defensive line's an issue, but we have a great offensive line as well as a great defensive line. And I preach this all the time to where when it comes to football, everything starts at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. So with our top tier offensive line and defensive line, I think we'll be fine. Me personally, I think we'll be okay. I think it's going to be close. And could it be a shootout? I don't know, just because I don't really believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo is okay. He's more of like a game manager, in my opinion. He's not like a big play type of play kind of guy. And Kyle Shanahan doesn't trust him either. The only reason I say that is because you saw him only throw, 7 passes in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago?
4.
Yeah, 4. So, again, it tells you that Kyle Shanahan doesn't trust him. We'll clearly see. Oh, my God. Why am I forgetting their other quarterback? Oh, my God.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, thank you. We're obviously going to see Trey Lance here and there. But, and I'll throw this question to the fam, and I'll throw this question to you, Pete. Could it get bad enough to where our defensive line's causing enough of an issue for Jimmy Garoppolo to where they just turn helm? No, you don't think so?
So here's the thing. I've watched a lot of Kyle Shanahan. I've broken down a lot of tape. I watched like last year when I was doing a breakdown, because the guy the Eagles got last year, they're one of their offensive coordinator-esque guys, was the former coach of the Broncos. And he ran his offense basically exactly like Kyle Shanahan. He likes a guy who can control the offense. He likes a guy who can do the zone reads. He likes the multiple running backs and tight ends formations and all that stuff. Yeah. And the Kyle Shanahan type of offense, you need someone who knows the system very well. And it usually takes 2 to 3 years to really understand that system. Like when Shanahan was in Cleveland, it took a long time for that system to get in place. And when it was cooking, they were one of the hottest offenses in the league for 1 year. The same thing when he was with Matt Ryan. When he was with Matt Ryan, they went to a Super Bowl together. And it's the same thing going on in San Francisco. You need a few years to figure out that offense. And that's exactly why I believe, as good as Trey Lance is and as good as you saw him last week, I just don't think and it has nothing to do with whether or not Trey Lance is better than or worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. I just think Garoppolo understands the offense. Being in it in 3 or 4 years in, he understands the offense better than everyone else. And that it's just such a convoluted type of offense to where you just can't throw a young kid in the middle of it and be like, figure it out, son. That's just not how Kyle Shanahan does it. That's not how he sets up his teams. It's a very complicated offense, and that's just not the type of thing that you can give a rookie year one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I completely get where you're coming from. But, I mean, it should be exciting. So let's do this before we get into our picks and we get on out of here.
No Collins?
I'm still waiting, fam. You can message us on all our socials.
What is it? You guys don't love us anymore?
We'll send you the link. I don't know where Todd's been. Todd's been MIA. But send us a message on our personals, our socials, A2D Radio. Just tell them, hey, I want to hop on. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. It doesn't have to be just the Eagles. It can be whatever you want. Send us a link or let us know you want the link, and we'll send it over.
Let's talk XFL, guys.
They're coming back again.
Okay, I will say I love the shit out of the second version of the XFL. That was fun football.
That was. At least when it first came out. Anyway, when it first came out. And then now it's just kind of
See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But Pete, offensive and defensive players of the game and score prediction if you want to.
All right. My offensive player of the game, I think is I just think with all the secondary issues and everything that's going on with their defense, it's got to be Devonta Smith, right? It's got to be the unleashing of the Slim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And my defensive player of the game, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just feeling it because I want to say Darius Slay. I think he's going to have another lockdown performance. He gave up 22 yards last week, I think, or less than 40, if I recall off the top of my head, which is ridiculous. Like, yeah, I know it was like 3 catches for like something.
Yeah, I think it was like 22 yards he gave up in however many attempts. I don't know. I can't find it. But score prediction.
28 Eagles 28, Niners 14.
Okay.
My heart tells me, my heart is kind of leading the way on this because I despise the Niners because my uncle's a Niners fan and I like ripping him a new one. Mm-hmm. And when they lose, he gets all angry. So this is what I want.
Yeah, no, I completely hear you.
Also, I'd like to feel good about Jalen Hurts 2 weeks in a row heading into Dallas with all their goddamn injuries.
Oh my God, it's a mess. And again, you hate to see it. You really hate to see it.
So sad.
Let's see. We got another comment right here. Mora. Before I forget, happy belated birthday. Happy belated birthday. I think Hurts will have solid games. I need to see him come from behind and win a game. Fair. The best quarterbacks can overcome deficits. Not that I want the Birds to be losing, but we'll fall behind this season at some point. Yeah, I mean, and that's fair. That's absolutely fair. And Moore also gives her prediction 24-17 Eagles. Oof. I like that. No Name also says, hopefully George Kittle gets 300 touchdowns and 200 yards in the fantasy team.
Someone who has George Kittle in fantasy, that would be nice.
I mean, George Kittle's going to do what George Kittle does, but
get 20 yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, go Birds. Okay. You redeemed yourself. But offensive player of the game. Jeez. You took mine, Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith's such an easy one just because he's going up against a Swiss cheese of an injured secondary against the 49ers. You know what? Give me Jalen Hurts. I feel good about it. I think he's going to have a good outing in his first actual game at the Lincoln. What I mean by that is obviously fans are back in full capacity, so we'll get that full vibe. Get that full vibe there. Real quick. Moore also says Joe Girardi just got tossed. Yeah, I have it in the background, Mora. That's I mean, the Phillies are winning right now, but defensive player of the game. You know what? Actually, no. I'm not going to think about it. This is an easy one. It's going to be Fletcher Cox. Obviously, we saw him last week a little bit, but I need some sacks on the stat sheet. I need a sack or two on the stat sheet, if you would. So, game prediction. Here's my issue, right? The 49ers like to run the ball a lot.
Yep.
And last week at the beginning of the game against the Falcons, our run defense was just getting smothered, obviously.
That's my big worry.
Our defensive coordinator made adjustments at the second half, and we were fine. But also the Falcons got away from the run, which makes no sense. But that's my only real concern with the 49ers, because in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it doesn't matter what running back you have. It could be me or you, Pete.
I can run for 100. I'm dead serious. I can run for 100 yards in the Kyle and West Coast offense. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. It could be any of us running for 100 yards. Any of us could do that in Kyle Shanahan's
offense. Here's the Shanahan offense in a nutshell. 2 running backs, a fullback. Fullback's the extra blocker. The second running back is running the opposite side, and all of a sudden there's a stunt all the way to the left with an extra lineman. And while you're looking at the running back on the right-hand side, the guard is already pulled on the left, and I'm already in the end zone. There you go. That's exactly what they'll do.
Yeah. But that's my only real concern as far as the 49ers go, because going back to the preseason, our run defense wasn't that great in the preseason either, and that was a big concern for me going into this season. But again, like I said, our defensive coordinator made the proper adjustments, and I think he'll do that also on Sunday. So that being said, and I also just don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo at all. This is tough. It's either going to go one of two ways, in my opinion. It's either going to be a really close game or the Eagles somehow just get blown out. I'm going to say Eagles 32.
Wow.
49ers 29.
It's a close one. You're a little bit.
It's a bit of a back and forth, bit of a nail biter, but I just have a good feeling about this game. And if we beat the 49ers, not even beat the 49ers, if we beat them convincingly, which I don't think we will, obviously, this city's going to go insane, Pete.
You're headed into Dallas for week 3 up 2-0.
Which looks like they're going to be going 0-2.
Who are they playing?
At the home opener in Jerry World. They're going against the Chargers on Sunday.
Woo!
So.
Can Justin Herbert spank that ass? Because I also have him in fantasy.
I have him a couple of my fantasy leagues too. That'd be nice.
Hey, man, he just needs to keep up this 300 yards a game thing, and I'll win a free Justin Herbert jersey.
Yeah, there you go. I keep telling people.
I have that moron's tweet saved in my phone.
And I keep telling people for fantasy football or even daily fantasy, don't sleep on Mike Williams. Don't sleep on Mike Williams. Mike Williams isn't like in a top tier receiver, but he'll give you touchdowns.
Yep.
I love Mike Williams. Moore also says, I hate to admit it, but I can't even give a defensive player of the game. I was only able to watch half the game last week on an iPad. I had a wedding to attend. I think I have a better idea for Sunday future games. Okay.
It was a wedding during football season.
Listen, people do it. People love their September weddings. I don't know.
No thanks.
Bill also says Eagles 26, 20 with Elliott with 4 field goals, offensive player of the game, Dallas Goedert, and defensive player of the game, Jordan.
Huh?
Jordan, you might want to not Jordan Mailata, Bill. Not Jordan Mailata, Bill.
How does that work?
Not unless they just want to move him to D tackle, then by all means go for it.
Is he playing nose tackle?
Listen, I mean, if he plays nose tackle or defensive end, he gets a sack. I'm losing my mind if that happens. But yeah, that's going to be another big. Speaking of Jordan Mailata, real quick, and then we'll get into our picks of the week. What did you think of Jordan Mailata week 1? I was actually very impressed. I was very impressed.
I mean, to be fair, I've been impressed with him since day 1.
Oh, me too. Yep.
Like,
I'm right there with you.
Like he's ridiculous. Like, did you see him like fucking obliterate a guy on the Jalen Reagor touchdown?
Yeah. Put that guy literally when they say he put a guy in the ground, he put him in the ground. He put him 6 feet under. And listen, I've said this forever. His ceiling is so high, it's insane. Just because of like his physical ability, he's a freak athlete at like 6'7", almost 400 pounds, and the way that he can move, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And if he can continue to develop under Stoutland, and which we've seen, he's developed fantastically in just 3 years of playing football. The sky's the limit for Jordan Mailata, in my opinion.
He's ridiculous.
Well, look at this. Look at this timeline theoretically, right? You go from Trey Thomas, Jason Peters, and if all things work out, Jordan Mailata. Just saying. Listen, if Jordan Mailata works out, I will say this. I'm never drafting an offensive lineman high in the draft again. I'm just saying that because how he's good at drafting late round linemen. He's always been good at that.
It's not even just the lineman. Like, look at the last few years of like late round picks. He found a safety / corner combo in Jalen Mills in the 7th round.
He was a 7th round pick. Yep.
Was a starter for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And a shutdown corner in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And this motherfucker's never played football before, and he's like, no, he's gonna be a Pro Bowl lineman this year. Watch it.
Yeah, and listen, if he becomes a Pro Bowl lineman, I'll get his jersey. That's not even a question. I'll get his jersey right then and there.
Okay, can I bring this up real quick? Because this was, you know, we were all big Fulgham guys here. I mean, other than Tom, because Tom laughed at it the whole time. And everyone kept saying, oh, this just shows that Howie Roseman is in charge of everything. And Nick Sirianni has no power and everything. And he's just picking his guy. And my stance was always, if Fulgham was that good, Fulgham would be playing.
Yep.
And I don't care what you think of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He had a good game. He didn't have any targets. He had no receptions. But you know what?
He blocked like a son of a bitch.
All over that game.
Yep. He blocked like a son of a bitch, and I'll give him that.
Wasn't he the number one block rate for wide receivers?
Wide receivers on like PFF or I think
DeVonta Smith was number 2.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Imagine having 70 yards and a touchdown, and you're also the number 2 best blocker by Pro Football Focus as a wide receiver.
Yeah. Listen, Pete, I'm right behind you with getting a DeVonta Smith jersey. I just want to give it time. I know he's going to be good, but I just want to give it time. I just want to wait.
Wait, what do you mean time? There's no time.
I need more. I
drove 3 hours, bitch.
Oh, I know you did because you're insane. My lazy ass, I'll just go on Fanatics and order through.
Well, that was too long. It was I wasn't willing to wait. I needed a new jersey.
Gotcha. Bill also says, my bad. I was up in the air on Dallas and Jordan. Defensive player of the game, Cox. But now that I think about it, shit. Let me play both guys. Play both ways. Yeah, I hear you.
Maybe Tommy McDonald.
I hear you. Moore also says, what are your guys' thoughts on Landon Dickerson playing the line before the end of the season? I feel positive about it.
Well, I mean, he might play on Sunday.
No, they said he's gonna be active on Sunday, but he's gonna be the backup, which I'm perfectly fine with.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'll guarantee he plays at least one play. You know they're gonna use him as an extra lineman, like they used his first few years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I'm willing to bet he's the 6th lineman for one play where they just pull all the way to the left, a la the Jay Ajayi touchdown against the Broncos.
Yes. That's an
interesting one. Now I'll put that out there. So everyone keeps talking about how he's going to be a center, right? What if they throw everyone off and they transition him to play full-time guard, and now you have a major trade piece in Isaac Seumalo?
I wouldn't even trade him because Isaac's just such good depth. You already know what you have in Isaac. I wouldn't trade depth. That's just my opinion. Again, we already have good line depth, but as a backup,
I really like.
I get where you're coming from
because nothing against him, but like we also have Herbig, we have
Driscoll.
Yeah, we have Driscoll. You know, so there's a lot of and I think those two guys have starter capabilities.
Yep. No, I hear you,
and that's exactly why I could be willing to trade Seumalo.
Mm-hmm. Well, my only thing with Seumalo is he's a very good player, and you're also paying him next to nothing. I think he's making like $2 million.
Remember
this year, and I think $1 million.
Guy that Howie found in the 5th round, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with it because I think we are going to end up seeing Landon Dickerson as the season goes on. But like everyone says, my concern with him are the injuries, right? If he can stay upright and stay healthy, he's a steal in the 2nd round. He's an absolute steal in the 2nd round.
In any other draft, if he's healthy, he's a top 10 pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bill,
if he doesn't tear his ACL.
Yeah, what were we saying, Pete? If he doesn't tear his ACL?
If he doesn't tear his ACL, he's a top 10 pick, and it's not even a question.
Oh, yeah, no. I completely agree. Bill also says, question, were you guys surprised that Howard never made the team for that one big back? He's 26. He's gassing the tank. He's has always got 3 to 4 yards of carry. Look what Ajayi and Blunt did for us. Yeah, I mean
that's a good way of looking at it. But I'll raise you. Did you watch him in Miami? That's who he is.
Yeah. I mean,
when a team is paying, what was it, 2 years, like $6 million or something, or $10 million?
He was getting paid $10 million, which was $5 million a year.
Yeah. So, and they cut him like, what was it, like 6 games in?
Yeah, they cut him like mid-season.
That tells you all you need to know. Like, here's the thing. Like, they know no one's going to touch him, and they know no one's going to want him. And on games where, here's the thing. In games where you're going to need that third running back to basically block, I mean, I would bring them up this week because you know what? You're going to need that extra blocker against that San Fran D-line.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, that's what you're going to use him for. Like, but you're not using him to run. I'm sorry, Jake.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think it goes back to also his stinger that he got a couple years ago with us. Obviously, I don't think it was a stinger because he had to have surgery. But I think that injury it clearly hurt him. Obviously, it clearly hurt him. But the thing is with Jordan Howard, right? It feels like he's been in the NFL for a decade. It feels like he's been in the NFL for years. But I think he's only been in the NFL like 5, 6 years, I think. Memory serves correct. But, I mean, we have him on our practice squad now. God forbid if anyone gets hurt. You have a clear option to get from your practice squad in Jordan Howard. You have a veteran. He knows the offense. He knows the system. So, God forbid if Gainwell or Sanders do get hurt, he's a great guy to have to pick.
We also have Boston Scott, which everyone seems to forget about.
Well, listen, we're going to see Boston Scott only 2 times this year, and it's going to be against New York, and it's going to be great.
I'm actually kind of amazed that they didn't. My favorite part about last week is they didn't force Boston Scott or Greg Ward down my throat. Neither had a target.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear you.
If that's Doug Peterson, that's not even a question. Gainwell doesn't get a carry, and Boston Scott has like 12. And then, Greg Ward has at least 8 or 9 targets.
Yeah. And, I mean, it looks like right now this team's bought into what Nick Sirianni's selling. And Lane was talking about it, I think, either yesterday or the day before, about before the season they had a meeting. It was like a big emotional meeting and that whole thing. And I think you can just tell guys are bought in. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are on the same page. Like, you just have a good feeling about this football team, at least in my opinion. Let's see. What's up, Rick? Rick says, I bring up Howard. They barely use Scott. Now, I don't know what the game plan is this week, but if it's similar, I agree, Pete. We don't need a big body block.
Yeah, like if that's the only reason I bring him up. Like, I don't need him to rush because I have Kenny Gainwell who can do everything Howard can do, and he can catch the football. Like, also Gainwell can block it just as well. So if I really want to do that, I could bring up a 4th running back to have him block, but I could just have Gainwell do that. And then I can have, if that's what I'm doing, I could have Gainwell block and I could have Scott run a little, or I could have Miles do it. So, Yeah. Howard's, he's done. Like, he's shot.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, right? Because he's only 26. And like Bill said, you look back at the years he was in Chicago, and he was arguably one of the best pass blockers in football. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what happened
anymore though. He's
and that's what it is when you get like as many carries as Jordan Howard's gotten over his career. I mean, look at Zeke for example. Look at Zeke in week 1. I don't think Zeke's it anymore. I don't think Zeke has it anymore.
Zeke's issue, unlike Howard's, is Zeke was doing like 350 carries a year, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, guess what? We're going to start doing now." It's like, "What? You're gonna catch 60 balls a year."
Yeah.
So you're gonna get over 400. It's not even just like counting the targets. Like, you're gonna get at least touch the football at least 500 times a year between rushing and catching.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let me see real quick.
Man, that contract is
Zeke's contract.
Oh God, that's a sexy contract.
It's arguably one of the worst in football right now. If he doesn't,
not everyone can be the Browns in that amazing Nick Chubb contract.
Real quick before we get into our NFL picks, This next segment of the show is brought to you by FanUp. FanUp is the best way to use fantasy sports. FanUp also has daily NFL contests and more. Win prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000, and you'll get 5,000 points, which is the equivalent of a $50 value. Visit FanUp.app. Download the app today. It's only available on Apple devices, so get your hands on it. Excuse me. You can also play fantasy games with us. You can challenge us to fantasy games. Me, Tom, I think Greg's on there too. It's an awesome app. It's a great time. We highly recommend you check it out. So, week numero dos in the NFL season. You ready, Pete?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, Las Vegas Raiders against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are a 6.5-point favorite in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, probably Steelers, sadly.
Okay. Yeah, this one's tough. Just because of how they played against the Ravens. Now, again, Ravens also shot themselves in the foot and Lamar Jackson lost in that game. But the Raiders played well enough. It's going to be close. But, yeah, when the Steelers are at Heinz Field, it's a whole different – their defense just plays at a whole other level.
The Steelers. Unless you're playing the Browns.
Yeah. Well, we saw that last year. Next game, Cincinnati Bengals against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are a 2.5 point favorite at home. I don't know about you, but I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals plus 2.5.
Who are they playing again?
They're playing the Chicago Bears.
No, I'm going Bears.
Okay. The next game, Houston Texans against the Cleveland Browns. We'll all say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Browns all day.
I'm sure Jeff is already saying Browns, even though he
Bill says he's going to take the 6.5 with Pittsburgh. The Browns are now a 13.5 or a 13-point favorite. Excuse me. Yep. Jesus.
They're going to spank the shit out of Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I think Tyrod. Now again, I like Tyrod Taylor, but at the same time, he's up there in age, and he
wasted 3 games of Baker's career.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Let's see. The next game, we got the Los Angeles Rams against the Carson Wentz Indianapolis Colts.
You know what? Just because I'm a bringer of chaos, let's go Carson. Let's get it done, baby.
God. That'll be a hell of a story.
It's the rubber match, man. It's the rubber match.
Rubber match.
1-1 against each other.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Wait.
Yes.
Him and Stafford?
No. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Goff's not there.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 0-2 against Stafford.
Yeah, fucking.
Because his rookie year, and then J-Jaw dropped the Hail Mary in the end zone. Bill says Rams. Next game, Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins.
The Matt Stafford MVP race is on.
I'm all for it.
He put my money in.
I put a 10 spot on it.
How many touchdowns did he have last week? 3?
I believe so. Yeah. Yep.
He looks so good. It's ridiculous.
I knew this was going to happen too. As soon as he went to an actual,
you mean a team that runs an actual offense instead of run laps until you bleed out your butthole?
If your teammate doesn't finish the laps, you bite their kneecaps off, and then you bite your kneecaps off, and then I bite my kneecaps off.
You see, Dan Campbell's like, wait, my player is accused of possible sexual assault or murder. I like that. Well, I don't believe he did it, but I like the fact that other people think he could have done it.
But
God, you're bad.
I'm going Rams. Bill also says Colts just got a bad injury. Wentz will be on the ground all day. Watch. Yeah,
Can we just trade Dillard to them for like a third and just call it a day?
Listen, they can have him. I don't care. It'll be a hell of a story. Like, take him. I don't care. The next game on the docket, Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. This game's actually interesting. The Bills are a 3.5 point favorite in Miami.
It's Bills. That's not any other question. Also, everyone should be hoping that the Dolphins lose like every freaking game.
For that draft pick, yeah.
Damn right.
For that draft pick. I need them to lose every game this year. I need Tua to stink. I need them to fall apart so we can get a good draft
I want
pick.
Wentz to lose every game. It's not for that goddamn 75% bullshit.
Yeah, that's 75% snap, and then it's 70% if they make the playoffs. So we'll see. Next game on the docket, New England Patriots against the New York Jets in New York. Pittsburgh. The New England Patriots are a 6-point favorite.
You know what?
I'm going Patriots.
Just because, you know, they always lose at least one to the Jets every few years. I'm going to go Jets.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to go Patriots. All right, so obviously our game, Philadelphia Eagles against the 49ers. Eagles are a 3-point underdog. What do you think, Pete? I got Eagles.
I'm going Eagles, man.
Yeah, Eagles all day. And I highly recommend if people actually do dabble in gambling a little bit, I would make your picks now, at least on the Eagles spread, because come Sunday and I think Saturday afternoon, the people are going to start putting money on the Eagles. So if you haven't done that yet, do it right now. Let's see here. Next game is the New Orleans Saints, 3.5-point favorite against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina.
Yeah, I'll go Saints. I'll go crab legs all day.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Give me Famous James. It's like he got LASIK. His eyes are fixed. He can see where he's throwing to now. He feels good. So give me.
But also, in true Jameis, but nothing would be true Jameis Winston fashion, like having a 5-touchdown game and then getting the piss beat out of him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. Let's do. Denver Broncos are a 6-point favorite against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville.
Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to go Broncos as well. Now we're getting into the 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
Is that the most underrated defense? Is that the most underrated defense, do you think? I don't think people are talking about it enough.
Who, the Broncos?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they still have studs on the defensive line. Obviously, Von Miller is going to do what Von Miller does. Patrick Surtain, I think he's going to be a stud. Are they underrated? Yeah, I think so. I think you could say they're underrated for sure. All right, so getting into the 4 o'clock slot, we got the Minnesota Vikings at Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals are a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to go Cardinals.
I'll go Cards.
All right. Second to last game in the 4:30 slot. Dallas Cowboys against the LA Chargers.
Go Chargers!
Yep, give me Chargers all day. Tennessee Titans against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are a 6.5-point favorite.
I go Titans.
I don't like that one. That's too many points. That's way too many points. Yeah, give me Seattle. Now this one I'm actually excited for. This 8 o'clock primetime game on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs against the Baltimore Ravens. The Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite.
Oh, Lamar Jackson's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I think so.
He's 3-0 against Jackson. They're good.
Mahomes is 3-0 against Jackson?
He's 3-0 against everyone.
Okay.
He's 3-0 against Lamar, and he's 3-0 against Baker. He's 3-0 against the Bills.
Yeah, yep. All right, yep, Chiefs all day. And then Monday night, the Detroit Lions against a pissed off Aaron Rodgers and an embarrassed Green Bay Packers team
Yep. Daddy's come home. Daddy's home, and he's got his belt. So that's basically what's going to happen.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Rodgers is going to have a
Aaron, you know what that he's Aaron Rodgers is walking into that room like the meme where it's the drunk guy home from a party.
Yeah.
He's that meme where he's just like, he just knows he's going to fuck some shit up.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. He'll just walk in and be like, what happened?
He's walking in, stuff's hanging out. He's like, all right, let's do it.
Yep.
Who's ready for that discount double check?
And listen, for anyone that, like I touched on earlier, that is into gambling, take Rodgers over on everything. Over on touchdowns, over yards. Take him over on everything. Mix in a parlay, because I just think Rodgers is going to throw 4 or 5 touchdowns. Whatever his touchdowns are. I don't know if it's on here yet. Yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, they don't have like all the player parlays on FanDuel until like the day before. It's so weird. At least for Monday night. It's so weird. Yeah, give me Packers outright. Pete, you got anything else before we head on out of here?
Nothing I can think of.
No. But fam, as always, we appreciate you coming on. I cannot wait for Sunday. So excited. I had another thing too. Oh, there it is. There's the Niners comment. There it is. Niners 35-10. Jesus, Dwight. I mean, if you expect Jimmy Garoppolo to throw that crazy, or are you talking about run? Are they going to run down our throats? Which could definitely be possible.
Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't outthrow me, and I haven't played quarterback in 15 years.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, and hope you have a good weekend too, Bill. And as always, we always like to cap off your weekend with our A2D memberships, $9.99 a month. Perks include appearances on shows, members-only live streams, which should be starting pretty soon. Shout-outs, weekly picks from Money Podcast, and your daily fantasy advice from Willie Vegas. Listen, $9.99 a month with Nate's picks and Brian Wilson's fantasy advice, you're going to make your money back in 24 hours after subscribing on a weekend. You're going to make that $10 back in no time. So we're helping you make money. I'm just saying, spend money to make money, $10 a month. With Nate's picks, you're just going to be making money hand over foot. So, Jake, you're so excited to watch your boyfriend Hard Knocks. See, Victoria is always in here starting trouble. I see you, Tor. I see you.
That's her whole shtick.
Oh, I know it is, and I love her for it. Because she's really good at it. Yeah, I don't know. I still have to watch the last Hard Knocks over the summer.
Who watches Hard Knocks? What is this?
I love Hard Knocks. I love Hard Knocks.
I've seen like one clip of Hard Knocks, or that's not true. 2 clips where it's Baker doing the impression, and then it's Hugh Jackson telling Baker, "You've won the number 2 QB spot."
Yeah, no, Hard Knocks is good. Hard Knocks is always, I don't know, I've always enjoyed it. And I know I'll definitely be watching it just because I want to see how that relationship with him and Frank Reich, talking about Carson in Indianapolis, is
the whole time.
Oh, probably.
Oh, Frank, I've missed you.
Yeah, pretty.
Oh my God, Doug was so mean to me.
What a mess. Moore also says I used to think Carson was my man too. Don't worry.
My real man's vaccinated. He's not a basic bitch. And you know what? It wasn't a personal choice either.
Yeah, well, now there's like a whole rumor going around that apparently the vaccination slips that some of the players got were actually fakes. They actually paid someone to give them fake vaccination slips. So that's a whole other conversation.
Wow.
Which again, it's just a rumor. It's nothing that's being reported. But
Cole Beasley. Look, guys, I'm vaccinated. I mean, my name, the state, and my doctor's thing is spelled wrong, but it's totally real.
Totally legit.
It's like that one. There's a woman in Hawaii who tried to get in there, except Pfizer is spelled wrong, and
God,
the places where she got them were the NRA and Home Depot.
That's so funny. That's funny. But we're going to get out of here, fam, real quick. We're also brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. He's our doc. Make him yours. Dr. Paul Vidal, located in Cherry Hill and Princeton locations. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Guys, we always appreciate your support week in and week out. Can't thank you guys enough. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every week. So, as always, thank you so much. From Jake Friel, Pete Young, happy birthday again, Pete. Happy birthday again. And as always, go Birds. And we'll catch you guys back on another episode of Fan Friday.